Ryan asked if I had plans like it was nothing, like he was just filling space while standing in the kitchen with the fridge door open. His voice was casual, but his eyes weren't. When I said no, that I was just going to stay in, I saw it, the brief release in his shoulders, the small breath he didn't know he took. Relief. It was gone almost immediately, replaced by a crooked smile, but I noticed. I always notice things like that with him that we've been roommates for almost a year. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. We split rent, shared groceries, argued over dishes, and pretended we were just two guys killing time between work and sleep. Ryan was straight. He said it easily, often, especially when his girlfriend's name came up. Melissa. She existed mostly through his phone and the occasional story he told while scrolling, her presence hovering but never fully arriving in our apartment. That I told myself that knowing his routines didn't mean I knew him. That memorizing the sound of his footsteps didn't mean I was waiting for him. Still, when he leaned against the counter and asked if I wanted to order food together, my chest tightened in a way I didn't let show. I said sure, because saying no felt dishonest. That we ate on the couch, knees almost touching, the TV on but ignored. Ryan talked about his day, about work frustrations, about how Melissa had been busy again. He didn't sound angry. Just tired. I listened the way I always did, giving him space to talk without pushing. I had learned that about him early on. Ryan opened up more when he didn't feel questioned. At some point he paused and glanced at me. "You're a good listener," he said, like it surprised him every time. I shrugged, pretending it didn't matter, pretending I wasn't cataloging every moment like this in my head. He smiled, softer this time, and looked back at the screen. That should have been it. A normal night. But it stretched. The food was finished, the containers left on the table, neither of us moving to clean up. Ryan stayed. He didn't mention going out or calling Melissa. He didn't check his phone. The longer he stayed, the more aware I became of myself, of how carefully I was breathing, of how much I wanted to reach for something I couldn't have. I reminded myself of the rules I'd made when he moved in. Don't assume. Don't hope. Don't read into kindness. Those rules had kept me safe, but they were wearing thin. Because kindness, when repeated, starts to feel like intention. And intention, even unspoken, carries weight. Ryan eventually spoke again, quieter. "She says I'm distant," he said. He didn't look at me when he said it. But I don't know how to explain that. I just feel off. He searched for the word, then gave up. Like I'm always somewhere else. I wanted to tell him to talk to her. That this wasn't my place. But instead I asked what he meant. The question slipped out before I could stop it. His gaze flicked to mine, sharp and uncertain, as if he was deciding how honest to be. "Here feels easier," he said finally, gesturing vaguely around the room. "With you." He laughed under his breath, like he'd revealed too much. "That probably sounds bad." It did sound bad. Not because it was cruel, but because it was intimate. Because it placed me somewhere I hadn't earned the right to be. I felt the guilt immediately, hot and uncomfortable, sitting alongside something warmer that I didn't want to name. That we sat in silence after that. The TV kept playing, characters laughing at jokes we weren't hearing. I was aware of how close Ryan was, of the heat of his arm near mine. I wondered if he could feel the distance shrinking, or if it only existed in my head. That he shifted, turning slightly toward me. "I'm glad you didn't have plans," he said, almost to himself. The words settled between us, heavier than they should have been. I nodded, afraid that if I spoke, my voice would give me away. That night didn't end with a confession or a touch. It ended with Ryan standing up suddenly, as if remembering something important, and saying he should probably call Melissa. He didn't do it right away. He lingered, running a hand through his hair, avoiding my eyes. "Thanks for being here," he said. After he went to his room, I sat alone on the couch, staring at the darkened TV. Nothing had happened. That's what I told myself. But I couldn't shake the feeling that a line had been crossed, not by action, but by need. And I knew, with a clarity that scared me, that this wouldn't be the last time he asked if I had plans, and hoped I'd say no.